Bonjour.
Good
My
morning.
presentation will be in French, so I would invite you to use those little things, and those of you who need it. Bon, I'll try and do better. Hello, bonjour.
Good morning.
Je m'appelle Françoise
My name
Enguehard.
is Françoise Enguehard. I was born in the French islands of Saint-Pierre and Miquelon. I first came to Canada in 1973, to Newfoundland in 1974. In 1977, I laid permanent roots here as I married someone from Saint-Pierre who was already established in St. John's. I was quite aware at the time that I was immigrating to an officially bilingual country, an important factor in my decision to do so. For my husband and myself, it was essential to know that we would be able to educate our future children in French and that it would be possible for us both to work in French as we chose. A few years later, the enactment of the Official Languages Law, or Act, comforted us in this vision. Marshall McLuhan had written The Two Solitudes in 1945. I did not know that. I was soon to discover that there is, in fact, not two solitudes, that of English Canada and Quebec, but three. Today, 40 years after setting foot in Canada, in Halifax, this situation endures, much to my chagrin. Three solitudes: that of Quebec, of what is often called English Canada, and of the Canadian Francophonie. In all corners of a Canada labeled English, there are Francophones, Acadians. French Canadians used to be the term up until the 60s. Who is aware of that? Not the majority of Anglophones, who are generally very surprised to hear that there are more than 1 million of us in 9 provinces, outside Quebec and all territories, yes, even here in Newfoundland, Labrador. Regrettably, the majority of Quebecers do not know it either. They too often think that we're just a few hundred old-jaded Francophones close to assimilation, or as well-known Quebecois once said, a warmish corpse. The Official Languages Act, the right to an education in French, and the immersion system were some of the factors that contributed to an increase in French speakers and bilingual people. Today in Canada, almost 11% of the population outside Quebec is able to speak French. But we're still far from real linguistic duality, a vital concept for our minority, one that implies the possibility to achieve our full potential as Canadian in one language or the other, and that is most often mistaken for bilingualism. The fact that you, I, or our children are bilingual is very nice, but it does very little to ensure I get as many opportunities as a French speaker as you have as an English speaker. Let me illustrate how little we know each other. Do you know that person? She's an Acadian actress. For the past 40 years, she's given life to La Sagouine. Her name is Viola Légère. She's a member of the Order of Canada, former senator, and she has played La Sagouine in French and in English, in Canada and around the world. A few days ago, she was awarded the Governor General Performing Arts Award. This role that she has played, have you heard of it? What is this flag? It's the Acadian flag. Since 1884, it represents the Acadian people, one of the 2 French-speaking founding people of South Canada. It features the 3 colors of the French flag and the yellow star of the mariner, the Stella Maris. It is the rallying symbol of millions of Canadians in Canada, in the Americas, and in the world.
And this flag, it is the flag of the French and Acadian community in Newfoundland and Labrador. It was chosen some 25 years ago. We have, again, the three colors of the French and Acadian flags, with the pitcher plant and the tamarack, symbol of Newfoundland and Labrador. The 30th of May, did you know that, was the official day of provincial francophonie. Did you know this? And who's this man? His name is Gilles Vigneault, one of the greatest composers and interpreters of Quebec, the Leonard Cohen of all French speakers in Canada. Now, if I were in Quebec or in Acadia, I would show this picture and I would ask people, who is this? And very few people would recognize the Newfoundland-born humorist and satirist Rick Mercer, or who painted these. They were painted by Alex Colville, a well-known Nova Scotia artist whose work can be seen in museums around the world. Perhaps in Quebec, people might recognize Riopel's artwork, but most would not recognize Colville's. Mind you, there's no shame in not knowing these individuals, but it does prove that there are indeed three solitudes in our country that keep each of us captive of our own environment to the detriment of the others. Now, often this leads to mistrust because ignorance brings us to fear, which brings us back to ignorance because it prevents us from being curious, far from reaching out to try and understand other people. Therefore, as a modern country, we must break up these solitudes. History teaches us that it won't happen through political decisions, laws, or decrees. If an act on gender equality was ignored as often as the Official Languages Act, there would be quite an uproar throughout the country. However, the reverse is not true. In other words, the initiative must come from somewhere else. The 2017 celebrations offer us a unique opportunity to unite and discover each other. In my opinion, the best way to do it would be to encourage artists to break up our solitudes, because it is often through artistic expression that societies progress and nations mature. Let us emulate Moncton's Fry Literary Festival, the one and only truly bilingual and international festival in the country. This year, Alistair MacLeod and Michael Endrate shared at the Moncton stage with Daniel Lessard, Dominique Langlois, and it has been this way since the year 2000. Let's talk, let's learn about our realities, about the challenges of our communities, and let's weave durable links. This can be done through various initiatives as long as they include avenues to explore each other and that they encourage the circulation of art and artists from one group to another, from one community to another. And why not extend such a challenge to community organizations, schools across the country, to the business sector, universities? Let's see what is done elsewhere and attempt to understand why linguistic duality is such an essential concept to us as French Canadians, and let's explore the richness of Newfoundland and Labrador identity, of Acadia, of Francophone Saskatchewan, for example. Let's ensure that 2017 is a year of national discovery and a new linguistic and cultural solidarity, so that once and for all we can forget the notion of an English Canada that ignores my existence as a French Canadian, with the idea also that Quebec is the whole of French Canada, so that in Quebec my novels can be found elsewhere than in the foreign literature section, so that more of French books are translated in English rather than always from English to French, so that our whole history is taught in schools, including questionable events such as the deportation of the Canadians. In other words, so that Canada finally realized the dream that will soon be 150 years old. It's about time. Thank you very much.
Merci bien, Françoise.
Thank you very much, Françoise. I have to ask you, since you come from a country other than Canada, Saint-Pierre-et-Miquelon, part of France, what message you would like the celebrations of 2017 communicate to the rest of the world I would say, as Ali said earlier, that Canada should become, or re-become, the country that we believe it is, or that is seen to be from the outside. All of these questions of peacekeeping, bilingualism, multiculturalism, of mutual respect and tolerance, that is how we are perceived. Unfortunately, that's a fading memory now, but I think we should become what we are, or what we have the potential of being, and what we once were. Thank you very much, Françoise.